Have you ever felt like you're giving everything in your relationship and somehow you've started to disappear in the process? That is what it's like loving a trauma survivor sometimes. It feels like walking on a tightrope. You want to be supportive, you want to show up, but little by little, you feel yourself slipping. The tension builds, the silence creeps in, and you're left thinking, where did I go in all of this? And if you're anything like me, you're probably sick and tired of feeling overwhelmed and confused. Sick and tired of wondering if you can actually pull this off, if you're strong enough, if you'll ever get to the kind of relationship you dreamed of when you first said yes. And let's be real, it can make you feel a little crazy. Like maybe you're the problem, like you're too much. I used to think if I could just be more like my friend Aaron, calm and easygoing, not so intense, then maybe things would be different. Maybe he should have married someone else. Maybe I'm the reason this feels so heavy. But here's the truth. What I always wanted was an equal partner, someone to dream big with, someone to say yes to adventures, someone who would have my back as much as I had theirs. And when trauma entered the picture, that dream felt so far away. I became the strong one, the fixer, the caretaker. And the more I gave, the more I lost myself. So if you're listening and you feel torn, wanting to be supportive, but also desperate to feel seen and loved too, I get it. I've been there. And in this episode, I want to share what I wish someone had told me. You can love your partner deeply without losing yourself in the process. And honestly, that's the only way both of you can truly thrive. So let's just be honest about this, what this looks like in everyday life. Loving a trauma survivor isn't just a theory. It shows up in the little moments that wear you down. Maybe you feel like you're always walking on eggshells. You never know what's going to set them off. One day, something's fine, and the next day, it's an explosion or a complete shutdown. And you're left standing there thinking, what just happened? How did we get here again? Or maybe you're the one managing everything, their moods, their stress, the house, the kids, even the relationship itself. You're carrying all the emotional weight just to keep the peace. And it's exhausting. For me, there were so many nights where I'd replay the conversations in my head, wondering, did I say the wrong thing? Should I have handled that differently? And when I finally opened up to friends, they couldn't relate. They'd say things like, if he wanted to, he would, or just stop overthinking. And I remember thinking, no, it's just not that simple. There's something bigger happening here. And here's the part I didn't want to admit. I started wondering if maybe this was just the life I signed up for. Maybe this was as good as it gets. But here's what I need you to hear. You're not imagining this. You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed, and you're definitely not selfish for wanting more. This is the reality of loving someone with trauma. And most people are completely unprepared for how much it impacts both partners. Here's the biggest trap: losing yourself in the process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's little by little, right? At first, you silence yourself to avoid conflict. Then you start saying yes to things you don't want to, just to keep the peace. And before you know it, you don't even recognize yourself. The hobbies you loved, gone. The friendships that filled you up, on hold. The dreams you had, collecting dust. And one of the hardest parts for me, my husband could just check out. Something would overwhelm him, and suddenly he was gone, shut down, unreachable. And when that happened, I had to flip into constant on mode, taking care of the kids, the house, the bills, the relationship. I didn't get to check out. I didn't get to fall apart. And that pressure chipped away at me until I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. And here's the thing: trauma survivors, trauma trains survivors to shut down. to protect themselves and sometimes to protect those around them, even though it doesn't feel like that. Getting defensive, deflecting, pushing you away, that's not about not caring. It's survival because to them, being vulnerable feels unsafe. But when they shut down and you overfunction to cover everything, you both end up stuck in survival mode. That is the trap, and you can't build a thriving relationship if you're disappearing in the process. So, what does it look like to love a trauma survivor without losing yourself? First, you have to stop rescuing. It's so hard. Your partner doesn't need you to erase yourself for them. They need you to stay whole so you can show up in a healthy way. Second, you have to hold two truths at the same time. Yes, my partner has trauma. And yes, I matter too. Too often we act like it's either or, but both of you deserve care, space, and love. Third, boundaries. Boundaries aren't rejection, they're love. They're the fence that keeps your relationship safe so you don't lose yourself in the chaos. For me, that meant reconnecting with my own life, hobbies, friendships, things that reminded me of me. It meant learning to regulate my nervous system so I wasn't pulled into his storms every single time he shut down. And it meant practicing trauma informed communication so I could actually connect without losing my voice. And here's what surprised me: the more I cared for myself, the more I started to see glimpses of the partner I had always dreamed of. Not perfect, but more equal. Not always ready for adventure, but willing. And that gave me hope again. It reminded me my dream wasn't gone, it was waiting for me to stop disappearing. Now, let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries help you convey your needs and feelings in a clear way. Here are some questions to map it out. What boundary do you need to set? What can you say so your partner knows the safe zone? What cues can you give if they're getting close to the danger zone? What will happen if the boundary is crossed? What reward or feedback will you give if it's honored or not? So let me give you a real example. Let's just say that you've decided, you know what? I love yoga and I've let that go and I want to get that back. So the boundary you need to set is to say, I need my husband to watch the kids after work on Wednesdays, just Wednesdays, so I can go to a yoga class I signed up for. The first step is to communicate it. Hey, babe, I'm going to need you to put it in your calendar to pick up the kids up from school on Wednesdays so I can go to this yoga class. You know how stressed I've been, and I really think this will help. The visual cue then would be put the yoga class on the family calendar, right? A verbal cue would be remind him on Sunday and again on Tuesday night. And a consequence would be if it won't work for him to pick them up, I'm going to arrange a babysitter. The reward would be if he follows through, bring home his favorite bakery treat as a thank you when he follows through. But the key is if the boundary didn't work, you need to give feedback if that boundary is crossed. And that is something like, hey, I went ahead and called Jane to pick up the kids on Wednesdays since it doesn't look like it'll work for you to do it right now. You see how this works? You're not punishing, you're not protecting, you're protecting your safe zone and giving people the chance to succeed. And remember my 3 rules here. Focus on yourself first. Boundaries protect you. Number 2, communicate them clearly. Set out those flags. And number 3 is so hard, but expect guilt and pushback, but hold steady. People can be upset with you and still love you. So here's your homework. I want you to map out one small boundary this week using these questions. Write it down, communicate it, and follow through. Oh, that was a lot. Okay, so let's bring this all together. Loving a trauma survivor doesn't mean losing yourself. In fact, the healthiest gift you can give your relationship is staying whole. You're not too much. You're not the problem. You're allowed to take up space and you're allowed to be whole, even while loving someone with trauma. So here's your challenge this week: one small boundary. Set it, just one. Write it down, communicate it, follow through. And if you're ready to do this, but every single time you try to talk, it turns into conflict or silence, I have something for you. It's called Stop Arguments Before They Start, the 3-step conflict diffuser cheat sheet. And it's a trauma-informed guide to help you create emotional safety and connection without spiraling into conflict. It's free and it is 100% the tool that I wish I had years ago. So grab your copy at the link below. And remember, you're not just building a relationship, you're building a life. And the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for your partner is to stay whole while you love.